And good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome aboard to Dreamy Land with Sensei Bob. I am your Sensei Bob, and I am your griot. And what is that? I tell stories that make you think. Right? So, you first of all have to be mature enough to think. Right? So, this video is not for anyone who's not mature, right? Not self sufficient. And what is that? If we go read Emerson's self sufficiency, he's talking about not so much, being a carpenter or being a plumber or growing your own food. I mean, he is kind of saying that. But what he's really talking about is that you have no real wants or needs, that you're really there to learn, to be um, able to expand your consciousness. So, know, um, and your connection is unstable. Please wait. Well, that's okay. I just wanted to tell you that I'm thinking about you guys. And it's, wet and cold. It was 28 last night. That was pretty nippy. And so I'm, having to dig out thermals. That's what I'm wearing. I'm wearing this thermal jacket and another thermal jacket underneath it, and go to sleep. And I have these thermal pants. So I had a thermometer inside my sleeping bag, and inside my sleeping bag, not even up against me, but inside my sleeping bag, it was 88 degrees. Well, that's pretty warm. But outside my sleeping bag, it was in, my insulated, covering from the wind and rain. It was about 32 degrees, right at freezing. And so I was like, as warm as a bug in a rug. And but getting out, having to go pinch a loaf, that was like, ooh, boy, it was nippy. But real dressed. The other thing is, so the weather has been quite strange. Last week, that hurricane that came up the coast and kind of hit North Carolina. I have no TV, or I mean, I have to drive, 30 miles to get on the internet. Basically, was so difficult. Anyway, that's what it's about. Whether you're self-sufficient, whether you can deal with things like, oh, it was so windy. I mean, it blew things around. It was unbelievable. And the rain, we had at least, we have this, gigantic lake nearby. And in the fall, they kind of lower it down to pull out all the broken trees and limbs and cars and things. So next spring and the summer, when the tourists come to go fishing, they won't snag their vehicles. And so they did that. They lowered it down about 5 feet. And after the rain, it was filled up. And we have a coastline on this lake about 1,200 miles. Because it's, was little dam here. And it filled up. I live in an accordion. Such mountains all around in all those hollows up. And back before they fill this thing up, three counties had a population of about 1,000. And now in the 200 square mile area, the population is close to 3,000. From 60,000 to 3,000. Because there are all these beautiful little, what were known as truck farms, and they all got flooded out. They didn't get paid. They just, their property was taken by eminent domain. And it was great. And then they really did redline it, because then no one could borrow any, the banks said, nope, yeah, sorry, you're worthless. So anyway, they had dropped it down and they were cleaning it out. And this week, they had dropped it down and they were cleaning it out. And this week, it rained 500 mile coastline of the city. So that was a lot of water. And it was, west of me, had tornadoes. I mean, it was a real big deal. Right? So let's do it. Anybody up for chatting? It's 5 minutes and 47 seconds. And so they did it in a way that you couldn't see them doing it. And there was always this gray kind of silvery haze, even without a cloud in the sky. We were driving across from Johnson City, this one big valley, and a friend of mine drove me, and he was saying, "Look at that! Why can't I see the other end?" I said, "Well, this is the big valley here instead of the little Sawtooth Mountains, and this is the Blue Ridge Mountains, and they're the big lumpy. So there's a big valley here, right? So that's about 15 miles from one end to the other end of the valley, which is a good long view, and you're seeing whatever they're putting in the atmosphere, whatever the air pollution, whatever you want to call it, is. So anyway, so what else? So I would, I reread Emerson's Self-Sufficient this summer twice, and you should go read that. Anybody who's read it wants to talk about it, come on to my, the dudeawake42@gmail, right? And again, there's a PayPal, and a few of you have been leaving little presents for your sensei, and that's, donations are always guaranteed, to get me a smile, at least to, pay my, meager bills. Like I had to buy my medicines, and out here there is, they close. I mean, they haven't really closed the hospital, like boarded up the doors. They just have no services. I mean, you can go there and wait in the waiting room and see a nurse practitioner, but they got nothing for you. They have no real emergency room. They got no operating room. They got no ICU. They got no beds. They got no nothing, right? But, they got the building out there, and the company who runs it, it used to be a county state-run thing, and then a corporation bought it out, and, and that's our healthcare. We spend more money than all of the rest of the industrial nations put together, and all of them have some kind of single-payer healthcare, some really good, Ireland, Scandinavia, Denmark, France, Italy, Germany, they all have pretty good. England, where you don't have to pay your taxes may be a tad higher, but everyone's taken care of. Now, this Corona thing is basically showing what I really love about it, just like Donald Trump. Donald Trump is great. He is the wrecking ball of, the hidden hand and the powers that shouldn't be, who put him in, right? They want him to be the change agent so they could bring on their, thing. And, but they didn't think he would, he is like doing what they told him to do. And that he trained, he was in a TV show for 10 years called The Apprentice, right? And the Corona thing, that's, this thing, where it is, what it is, where it came from, who knows, but it's acting just like a biological weapon, because go to Cliff Hyde's early videos in January, and he, Cliff is a guy who most of his career was a computer programmer that worked making models, nuclear war, what would happen, chemical war, what happened, all the things that what would happen. And he showed, and what was truly amazing, he had a copy of the U.S. Army's Biological Warfare Handbook from 1972 that, he got at a used bookstore, and exactly what's going on. And it's a virus, all biological weapons pretty much are viruses. And they are engineered to get a lot of people sick, but not kill a lot of people, to disrupt everything. And that's kind of what's going on, right? So somebody, who knows, brought this out, right? And there are, when you look at the RNA strain, you can see that somebody has split this thing and stuck things in it with CRISPR, right? Telltale signs, right? The other thing is it's nano, meaning why is it so just everyone gets it who are exposed, because it's really easy to get into your body, unlike here I am, I'm living out in the middle of the woods, so I'm as self quarantined as you got to see nobody, right? And whenever I do, I go into a large box store, and put my mask on and wear gloves, and get into the movable easy chair to shop in, which basically keeps people 10 feet away from me. Otherwise, I run them over. And so my brother, who I drop a message, when I have a ability to go on phone, I call all my family up, and nobody answers. So I get to leave phone messages, which is like great. I don't get interrupted. I can just do a monologue. And my bro, all my siblings are good-hearted people, but they have lived a long time. I'm the youngest, and I'm in my 70s. So, my sisters, I think my sister and brother in their 80s. My other sister's almost there. And so it's, and I was blessed to be taken care of by my grandmother the first, 10, or so years of my life, because she was just right there. And my mom, was too busy smoking cigarettes. So, I was, I didn't have that kind of exposure. Because my dad, he was, during World War II, he was the big guy running the air wings, and he'd be up there on the stage with the pointer. Okay, boys, you're going here. And he sent hundreds of thousands of people to their death. And the bombs that they dropped killed millions of people. They bombed Germany and Europe into the Stone Age, right? And my dad, he would see the B-17s would come back, and they would, those things were, really hard to take down. Whereas the B-24, you hit it, the wings were right across the top. So you hit it right at the top with the ME-109s had cannons. So you hit a couple of cannon shot in there, it would snap the two wings off, and the fuselage would be spinning down at a rate that, they were basically flying coffins, And so my dad had a lot of PTSD, because though he didn't fly airplanes, he had to deal with the trauma. These guys would come back, and his part of his job was plan these raids. So he had to, he used to go to, where they would tell, they would interview them on their back, and say, so what happened? And they, Bob's head got blown up, and Molly, he was trying to take over, and half his face was gone, and his arm was missing, and before he bled out, I had to beat him back with the stick of Larry's arm. It was like horrific, right? And that's what my dad went through. And then, he came back and worked for LeMay, who wanted to nuke the world. So he was exposed to the raw numbers of what nuclear war would do. And that's how I got to see retired. You never retire from that job, right? And so like when he died and they put him in the box in the ground, gave him the full Monty. I mean, the jets flying over with a guy flying this away, and guys with real guns, and a real guy with because I've gone to a lot of soldiers funerals, because I've worked with, back in the Vietnam days, I worked in Port Hamilton as an alternative medicine guy. And then I had a practice doing that, and I got to know a lot of people. So I still do know all these folks. And the VA tries to do its best, but really not so good. I mean, some VAs are better than others, but overall could be a lot better. And one of the things they're very bad with, and it deals with the military chain of command, um, is the when the men are in uniform, they're not very understanding. I mean, they're starting to be more, but they get blown up. They send them out to a hospital, and what do they give them? Morphine. And then they give them OxyContin, then they become junkies, right? So around where I am, the addiction rate is through the roof, and the suicide rate is through the roof. And there is a number of gated retirement villages of military folk who, were above major colonels and generals. And it's broken up not so much by forces, but there's an intelligence one, and then there's a ground force one, and a sea-based one, and aircraft based. So I know guys in all of these, and a lot of them have just got their head down and made some money and live out there in the woods in their little bunker, right? Wired a lot of bunkers in those places. And but there are a lot of really good guys who try their level best to help out, especially the Marines and in the the special forces folk. They were the tip of the spear, so they were always in harm's way, and they always the few, the proud, so they always came back. They didn't just go for one tour; they came back because they wanted to protect much. So I've dealt with a number of soldiers who, did that, and were 10 Purple Hearts, Silver Stars, everything. All these guys got everything, but the Medal of Honor, and usually the Medal of Honor goes to somebody who's dead, or did, but all of these guys should have gotten the Medal of Honor. And what happens is that they get, fried and fried and fried to the point where they are, let's see, are we back online? I think we're back on. Are we back online? Hey, John, we back online? And I'll try and call tonight, but am I back online? Am I online? Yeah, okay, good. Thank you, John. Here's my good friend, John Birmingham. He's got a great channel. You guys check it out. Huh. Come on. This is the guy's show called Jimmy Dore.
North Carolina homeowners. All the electric companies are raising their rates this year, but
you
can stop them.
John, I'll call you on the phone and we can talk about it, okay? I don't know here. Come on. Anyway, who knows? Just keep that plugged in and charge. Come on, charge. You're charging. So anyway, over the years, in the deep green, because I'm right off of the Appalachian Trail, the AT, right? And a number of people kind of stroll into my site and oh, look at this, because I got this waterfall right behind me. So if they're following the stream, they will usually end up where I am. And so you can't believe how many homeless people are on the AT. And all throughout here, the tourist areas where the lakes have, spots you can come and put your boat in, and there are places where they got hibachis and you can picnic, and they all have very nice bathrooms, and so you can't believe how many folk who are homeless and who are mostly soldiers basically are camping out, right? And what happens is these guys, we've been in Afghanistan for 20 years, and we don't have a draft. So we have a very limited group of people that we send back and back and back until they break. And then they break in country, and, they've been there 10, 15 years watching all these people die. And they're trying to, the new kids come in and they try to pull them over the side. Say, okay, this is what you got to do. Is I got to handle this. You got to be really careful about that. And then some first lieutenant who knows nothing. Okay, man, we're gonna march in here and kick these doors in, and and the guy goes, no, lieutenant, no, we can't do that. What do you mean? You're just a sergeant. You can't tell me what to. I'm a lieutenant. But sir, if we do that, we will, And so they have this kind of thing where he's trying to say common sense, and the lieutenant goes, I know what I'm doing. I just got basic training, So to save all his men, he will punch the lieutenant in the face, which then causes, everyone to go back to base, and he gets arrested, and then he, gets dishonorably discharged, even though he's been there for 20 years and saved thousands of people's lives and got more medals than you can shake a stick at. The military model break. They've been there, nothing. They've lost their families, everything. Just NCIS. See his name being, the gunny. Anyway, so there are a lot of those guys, and so they stroll in, and I'm the only person they can kind of talk to, kind of relate to. I try to get them help because I know, the people of the VA. I know, people who are, higher rank who, can intercede at the Defense Department for them. And I have to say there's been some luck at that. But what's really sad is that in the 15 or so years that I've been doing this, because on the AT and a bunch of those guys, there's this guy there. If you just turn off the AT where the waterfall is, go find him. He'll let you camp out there, and it's a little more comfy, a little more warm, a little more screwed up than just being out in the middle of the woods. I'm like Cadillac camping. So, and I have certain rules. You can only stay a few days at a time. You can come back, but you can get, and we can get, and if you're working on getting back into society, you can stay there longer. But if you're just not going to change, 3 or 4 days, then you got to go. You can come back, but you got to go. So, and that's the only kind of, people who come and visit. And there are other folks who come and visit, but they live in that 200 square mile Appalachian Sawtooth Mountain range. So, there was this one guy who, like I said, he should have had the stories he would tell would just curl your hair. And, he stepped in and interceded with a higher ranking person who did not know, who's going to get a lot of people killed. And he punched him out, knowing that it would stop what that moron was doing. And, and he had done it before. And because the people higher up knew who he was and all, everything he had done, they would just bust him and not throw him out. But this time, this guy had somebody, his uncle was a senator or something, so got thrown out, just under discharge. And he was already addicted to painkillers because he had like 18 Purple Hearts. Unbelievable. He's missing a foot, and he's still going, carrying his 80 pounds. It's like amazing, right? And he has no, I have very little health care. He's got none. Anyway, so he was down in the dumps last month, and he hasn't seen his kids or anybody, and everyone's got a bad, because he'd come home and he'd be drunk and be upset, and he had severe PTSD. That's the story. Anyway, it's gotten colder up higher, and so he just went up there and took all his protective clothing off and went to bed on the ground, and died of exposure. And he was found a couple of weeks ago, and through the line at the AT, through and his name was Old Soldier Buddy the Old Soldier, and his buddy's dead. He said he was like just in his shorts. It was 20 degrees outside. He put down his tarp on the ground, and he froze to death. They found him with frost. He was an icicle, a buddy sickle. And so that's the kind of things that are, part of my day, and I try to make people's lives better. No big deal. I've tried to go to the powers that be, and never gonna change, and in my neck of the woods, it's, like I said, back in 1961, the population of the three counties in that 200 square mile, because I'm in this really squirrely neck of the corner where I'm like 2 miles from, I'm 3 counties within 2 miles, 2 states within 10 miles. So it's a real, and there's all this energy, this gigantic, energetic bar of iron that runs from upstate New York down to Georgia, and it's one of the major ley lines on the East Coast. And it's, you could probably tap it and run electricity in your house, but it has a lot of spiritual energy. So there's always, so when the wind blows, it's like what was truly interesting this morning. I woke up, and so I, buy a package of 10 styrofoam plates, and I will eat off one for until it falls apart, and then I eat off the next, and and I use the falling apart one under the new one to give it a little stability. And anyway, so I've had this one packet of 15 styrofoam plates, and got them along this my cooking bench, and it's got a back to it, so I kind of prop them up and wash them off. And I'm a 2-pot cook, and so these 2 pots I clean and I lean them off over these guys. Anyway, I woke up this morning, and I don't even know where the plastic bag for the styrofoam had gone off to. But when I woke up, like the 11 that were left of the 15 that I bought in, end of August, were basically stuffed back into the bag. I had no idea where that came from. And a chunk of it was taken out and stuck on my hose, like putting a needle through, and it was like, what? What? And there were all these jars that I save food in, that were, again, I've used them 100 times. And before I put new food into them, I boil up water, and I boil them up, and I clean them out and make it pretty, use a couple drops of Clorox, and so I sanitized them. Well, they were, I had a bunch of them lined up that I was going to clean, and they were all cleaned. It was like, and I had no idea where the lids were for any of these. That's why I was not rushing to clean them. But and they were all different sizes. So whatever, found all the lids and put them on there and cleaned them out like they were brand new, cleaner than I could clean them. And that happened last night. It was really interesting. And, you know, so I have no money, so I can't really afford my diabetic medicine. And there is no healthcare here, so I'm thinking of going back to Roanoke because I wired myself back in there. I got, you know, about a month ago, I got, you know, a month's worth of my diabetic medicine because my you can tell your blood sugar is getting, you know, my legs, I have Charcot legs, I have neuropathy in my legs. They always hurt, they're always messed up, they always tingle. But when my hands start to tingle, that's when I know my blood sugar is, you know, up and, you know, will, you know, kill me by causing, you know, a heart attack or any of the above. Even though my blood pressure is pretty good, you know, it's like, what is it? 120/70 last time I looked. So, um, and my blood pressure, I had a little cuffy thing that went over my wrist. It told me my blood pressure, and it gave up the ghost a couple of weeks ago, so I can't take my own blood pressure. Anyway, so, you know, that's what I deal with, and I am just thankful to be here. I'm just thankful to serve Love's co-creation, you know, and that is what is being self-reliant. That's what Emerson's talking about. That's what, you know, so, like I said, someone, you know, said that my show was not fit for children. Well, you know, most of the adults I know are children, so they shouldn't be watching this. And there are a lot of youngsters. I'm a youngster. You know, I'm a new soul, right? So I'm unbelievably naive. I believe everyone, you know. But, you know, once I turned about 55, I learned to, you know, trust but verify. So anyway, I'm going to get out of here. I got things to do. So where's that little cursor? There it is. And so that's 33:33. I will go bye-bye. So again, thanks for coming to Dreamy Dreamland with Sensei Al Bob. You know, give me some thumbs up, kids. You know, there's 4 of you. How about 4 thumbs up? How about telling some people about this? Get some more folks on thing, because the algorithm definitely ain't, you know, ain't going viral anytime soon. But the you know, 400 or so of you seem to like this, and so there's 1 thumbs up. Thank you. And if you want to talk to me personally, you can go to the dudeawake42 at Gmail, and my PayPal is there. So if you want to drop anything in that, that'd be really nice. I might be able to afford my my whatchamacallit, my medicines. This last month I haven't. And so, you know, I haven't been able to take my blood pressure medicine or my cholesterol medicine or my diabetic medicine or my, you know, I bought 5 other medicines. And the only one thing I can afford is, you know, cinnamon and coumarin and baby aspirins. And they're actually doing pretty good because I'm not really any, you know, I don't eat out at all. I don't have the money to. And I eat basically just vegetables and pretty much this, you know, we had hopefully I'm hoping that we'll have another Indian summer, because we had really all of September and most of October were in, you know, 40s at night and 70s during the day. And the dandelions went nuts. So I'm just clipping the leaves and eating salad, you know. So I'm hanging in there. The last 2 winters, it's almost been 3 years since I spent with John, and maybe it's time to go visit him. You know, maybe we can do something different. And that was the main reason I left. I spent 2 years with John, and it was the same thing over and over again. And I think John has changed. So hopefully, Lightning. Hey, Lightning. Nice day, Bob. Okay, I just woke up. Good morning. And so this is my year-round ho-ho-ho hat. And because you shouldn't have the Christmas spirit only one day of the year. You should have it 360, right? That's the way to go. So I love you all. Maybe later in the afternoon I might try again if I get everything done before 2. I will try and visit again because I didn't have a place to go, and I guess I did it on Friday. So I'm still doing it pretty regularly. Again, push the button for being a subscriber and hit that little bell so you'll get notified when I go on the air. And I love you guys. You stay well. Lightning, good to see you. John, good to see you. Everybody, all 7 of you that are there. I know once I click off, I will see that 20 or 30 of you watched. Okay, I'll talk to you later. Boo, 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 boo.